Last time I talked about Joshua 9 in Israel's confrontation with the Gibeonites, and I had presented the Gibeonites as people who were humble and submitted to the God of Israel. But there is another way to look at it. I recently watched a video teaching with Skip Heitzig, and I think he made a really good point that the Gibeonites are also very much like Satan, in that Satan creeps in as something innocuous, and he looks harmless, but he does it with the goal of undermining the kingdom from inside. Just a little bit here and a little bit there, and like the roots of a tree, before long the rock is split. And this is the exact tactic that a certain immoral lobby has used to undermine the American family, families of all of the West, to undermine belief in the God of Israel. They said, we just want to live our lives our way. And how does that hurt you at all? On the surface, it doesn't seem to. We let them live their lives their way. And then they say, well, if you don't celebrate our life the way we want to live it, then you must be a bigot. You have to fly our flags, and you have to acknowledge us, and you have to set aside special days and make special allowances for us. And then we think, well, okay, at least they're not making us do their thing, and we let them get away with that. And then they say, if you don't participate in our sin, we're going to get you fired. We're going to shut down your churches. We're going to close your businesses. If you don't let us take your children and make them engage in our sin with us, we're going to get the government to come and take your children away, and we're going to force them to indulge in our sin. We're going to force them to become our playthings. You know exactly who I'm talking about. They snuck in saying, we're just harmless. We just want to live our lives our way. But that was never the case. They always wanted to undermine belief in God. They always wanted to undermine obedience to his standards, and they wanted to force everyone else to live their way. Tolerance was never their end goal. Domination was always their goal. Something that Joshua did to kind of forestall what might have happened with the Gibeonites is he made them serve at the tabernacle and later the temple. They became laborers on behalf of God, so they were always present when God was being worshipped and served. And then he turned their city into one of the Levitical cities. So the teachers of the law and the people whose profession was to serve God made Gibeon one of their headquarters. So the Gibeonites were constantly exposed to teaching about God's law. They were made to serve God. Well, we need to get God in prayer, in Bible studies back in our schools. If that means shutting down government schools, well, great. We are more than capable of teaching our own children or creating schools without the force of government behind them. It would be better to teach our own children to pay the extra costs than to allow the forces of wickedness and degeneracy to use the government to force us to teach our own children against God's ways. That's obscene, literally. So don't let the Gibeonites take over. They are supposed to serve us, and we are supposed to convert them to God's ways. We should not tolerate sin in our midst. This is Jake Harper from American Torah. Be blessed.